What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. As you can see right here, we're taking it back to a nice Strand build for y'all, this time utilizing our Hunter and the all-new Exotic Helmet, Cyrtarachne's Facade. Now, this thing gives us the Woven Mail, which is a nice Strand shield that gives resistance in incoming damage when you have it out. So having this on our Hunter is amazing, especially since we have two grapples, which is what gives us that Woven Mail via that helmet. So for this build, we're definitely going to be trying to keep our melee up consistency, all about the grapple and having that Woven Mail up so we can be that Strand tank and take a lot less damage with that up. So as always, we're starting with our abilities, subclass aspects, and fragments with our Silk Strike right here, one of the highest damaging supers in the game right now. We're using Marksman's Dodge with Triple Jump with our Threaded Spike for our melee, and of course our Grapple, so we are able to get those melee defeats by pulling people in. And with the Hunter here and our aspects, we're going to have two Grapples because we have an additional grenade charge via Widow Silk right here, as well as our Grapple creates a grapple tangle at the initial point, so we can go on and off of that without using our second charge, which comes in very handy with this build for that Woven Mail. Now on top of that, we're going to have Ensnaring Slam, so when we are in the air, we can use that air move and slam down on the ground using our class ability, which suspends targets in the nearby area. Suspend is definitely one of the strongest verbs for Strand in my personal opinion, so having 100 mobility on this build allows us to slam and suspend a lot of enemies. So moving on to our fragments right here, we're going to be using Thread of Transmutation for our first one. So while we have that Woven Mail up, our weapon final blows are going to create those tangles, which are those balls that we can pick up and throw at enemies, as well as shoot to create that Strand explosion. And with having Woven Mail up basically continuously with this build, we're able to have tangles absolutely everywhere. Now second right here, we're going to be using Thread of Binding, so our super final blows from Silk Strike will create Suspending Burst from those targets. This super is so good at ad clear as well as DPS. Having the ability to suspend targets is super crazy with this build, since I said suspend, in my personal opinion, is one of the best Strand verbs. Third on this list, we're going to have Thread of Generation, so dealing damage generates grenade energy, and since we are using that double grapple to use that Woven Mail, doing damage as we go around with either the melee strike or while we're in the air doing damage with our weapons, we are going to get grenade energy back, allowing us to have that perpetual loop of having our grapple and Woven Mail. Now for me, what really brings this build together, in my opinion, is the Thread of Ascent. So when we activate our grapple, it reloads our equipped weapon, gains bonus air effectiveness and handling during this time. So this is super important because when we're using something like a grenade launcher, as I was in this build, I'm able to just grapple forever on and off of that initial grapple spot from our double grapple, and it reloads our grenade launcher every single time we grapple. We can do this with primaries. We can shoot it pretty close to us and use a nice cancel to reload immediately. So this is super effective for continuous output with your weapons and continuously having your abilities up with this insane build. Moving on to the weapons, we're starting out with a new season weapon with a Strand submachine gun in our kinetic slot named Synchronic Roulette. Very good with its hatchlings and its ability to spawn those orbs of power with Strand. Next off, we're going to be using our explosive personality Waveframe grenade launcher for that ability again to create orbs of power, and with the ability of that Thread of Ascent, we're able to reload this instantly just with a grapple, so it's super nice for ad management. And we're going with the King of Destiny ad clear DPS, especially for solar right here, and being able to create orbs of power with mods that we have on. This thing just pairs perfectly with this build. Now right here is our Cyrtarachne's Facade Exotic Helmet that is new with Lightfall. So it's Acrobat focus, we gain that Woven Mail when activating our Grapple, as well as increased flinch resistance while Woven Mail is active. And once you saw the gameplay at the beginning and when we have some at the end here, you'll see how often we can grapple and how much we have that Woven Mail up. Now for our mods, we're going to have that dual Solar Strand Siphon on, so we are able to create orbs of power with those rapid defeats with either solar or strand weapons, so all of our weapons have the potential to create orbs of power for us. Now on top of that, we're going to be using heavy ammo finder for us as well as scout for our allies, so we can keep our Galahorn loaded as well as keep our allies supplied with heavy to help us get orbs of power as well. So moving on to the arms right here, we're going to have impact induction, so causing damage with that melee attack reduces our grenade cooldown or our grapple. On top of that, we're going to have firepower, so when we use grenade final blows, those will create orbs of power, and this does count when you grapple an enemy and use that air move with it to hit after a grapple and defeat an enemy. That will create an orb of power. Now we're using those orbs of power for grenade kickstart, so when your grenade energy is fully expended, you gain it back, and when we have more charges on our armor, we're gonna get higher amount of that grenade energy back. And I promise, I tested this out, even though we have 2 charges in our grapple, this grenade kickstart does work, and we get about half of our grenade energy back with that grapple when we have full armor charge. So it is, in my opinion, very worth it, and I promise it does work. Next off on our chest piece, we're going to have 3 charged up, which allows us to carry a full stack of 6 armor charges on us. So like I said, we're using that to get our grenade back, and it is very easy because we're creating orbs of power everywhere with every single one of our weapons, as well as with our grenade defeats and that nice grapple melee defeat, which counts as a grenade defeat. Now moving on right here to our legs, we're going to have stacks on stacks, so when we pick up one of those orbs of power, we gain actually 2 armor charges, which again, we're allowed to stack those up to 6 with having those 3 charged up on our chest piece. Now we're going to have 2 innervations as well, so when we pick up all of those orbs of power, it's going to reduce our grenade cooldown, so we're going to have our grapple up consistently, like I've been saying, as well as that woven mail. And last but not least, we're going to have double bomber, so we reduce our grenade cooldown when we dodge. This also counts when we use our air move to slam and suspend enemies, so we're able to get our grenade back while doing that, as well as reduce all ability cooldowns when using our class ability near targets. This distribution, this comes in handy when we are using that slam for that suspend, because we get our grenade back as well as all of our abilities in a little fashion. So this build absolutely super fun to use and super crazy with being able to reload your weapons, have basically infinite woven mail up to have that reduced damage via that woven mail and becoming that strand tank, and then just the output of having your abilities up basically consistently, all the orbs of power that you're creating for yourself as well as fellow guardians, and having that heavy finder to do the same for yourself and guardians. It is a super fun build, and I do love using this with my Strand Hunter. Definitely going to be making a lot more builds around the Strand and taking back some of our old builds since everything got changed with the mod system inside of Destiny 2. So hopefully you guys enjoy this build with the new exotic helmet for our Strand Hunter, the Cyrtarachne's Facade, creating that Strand tank for our Hunter, basically becoming invincible with unlimited reload, unlimited grapple. So thank you guys again for the support, truly appreciate it. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.